This coin just jumped up over 200% in the last week, and let's jump into exactly what's going on, why this happened, and what we can take away from this to either know to get in or basically avoid this like the plague. I'm Brett at CryptoGX, and in this video we're talking about MemeFi. It's a big platform, big token, and over the past week, as I mentioned before, it's gone up over 200%. So let's just jump into what's going on here. So I check a few different sites daily to check trending things, as you may know from my videos on the channel. One of the sites here is CoinGecko.com, and it checks the top trending cryptocurrencies for the day. The other site I use for trending coins is CoinMarketCap.com. As you can see, CoinMarketCap.com and CoinGecko have different coins, so that's important to note, and that's why I check both. CoinMarketCap tends to just show the larger cap coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and so on. So what we're going to be talking about today is on CoinGecko, they like to put more trending coins that are not necessarily the big hitters. And I found this 160 at the moment percent gain. It was much higher before. Very, very interesting. But I do like to look at the coins specifically on CoinMarketCap.com. They have a lot of good features on here. So essentially, let's take a look at this coin. We're looking at the last 7 days. It was flat up until here. So what that tells us every time is there was a big announcement. You can see it went up to a $62 million market cap, down from 13 million, and it's now at 36 million. So the first thing I like to do is check this news tab right here. We'll go down and there's no news right here actually. So an easy way to go about this is these little sections right here below the chart. They're basically the most common questions people have. They take in what anybody's saying in this side column here, all of these like social media posts basically from all sorts of influencers. You can take a look at the top ones, the latest ones, and so on, and we'll get into those. But a really quick thing to do is click on this number one right here. Why is MemeFi's price up today? And so the overall basis here is that we've got a short squeeze, technical overheating, and project uncertainty, which I will get into. The big news was that Binance delisted the futures trading. But I want to get first into what is this coin, because we had this giant breakout here, and the main question is, okay, is this just a meme coin? I mean, it's called MemeFi. Is this just random nonsense, or is this, a good project? So let's look at their website, and that's one of my first indicators. You can go back to CoinMarketCap. You can see that they have their website, their white paper, their Twitter, their Telegram, and more information here. You can see it's on the Sui blockchain, which is, an up and coming one that, is really popping off this crypto cycle. We have a video that I made on Sui on the channel, so subscribe and check that out. It's a good video. So back to their website, you can see that they've got a pretty awesome looking animation here, video here behind leading Telegram game and Web3 meme universe with 52 million players. That is massive. That is a ton of players on something that personally I've never even heard of. Now it looks like they're doing where essentially you play and you can claim earnings or rewards for playing on the platform. You can trade on OKX apparently. That's a big exchange to trade, which is, a good sign. Here's some data on their users. As it said before, 52 million users, 7.5 million daily active users, 28 million monthly active users, and then all the way down to 15 million wallets and 2.5 million on-chain paying users, which is a stark difference from the 52 million, but that's still quite a few. So they've got all these things on what you can do to play, and then they also have their investors and partners. It's a fantastic thing to work with. It'd be nice if they stipulated between investors and partners. Sui is the platform they're on, so that's a partner. AC Capital, that's, absolutely going to be an investor. X Ventures like venture capital, that's probably an investor. So looking into these is important, which we can get back to later on. That's definitely what I would recommend for further research if you want to. But let's take a look at what is happening here. So you can see right here on Binance, they noted that they were going to delist something called DeFi USDT and MemeFi. These are two separate things. And in these Binance notifications or announcements, they don't really tell you anything about why. It just tells you, hey, they're delisting here. It means that you cannot trade MemeFi perpetual contracts. These are futures. These are potentially leveraged positions. If we scroll down, they have some notes. One of the things that you could maybe take away as an opinion is they're talking about protecting users and preventing potential risks. They're talking about something else. Basically, they're saying that they might do additional things toward this particular contract. They're without any announcement, blah, blah, blah. So I just take it as risk aversion on their part when it comes to the trading of these particular contracts. So now we got to look into why. Well, if we go to the MemeFi Twitter account and try to get more of an understanding of this project and their strength. If you just right from the beginning, 3.1 million followers, and they only joined May of 2023. That is massive. That's a massive, massive following. So they've got tons of users, tons of followers on Twitter. They are absolutely a big, big platform. And you can go claim allocations on Telegram, things like that. I don't know if you have to be already a member in order to claim their coins, but if you can claim free coins from them, I would say do that. But we'll get into should you actually buy these coins. One thing that I think is really important to start off before we get too technical is that futures were launched for MemeFi April 25th of 2025, meaning that it's been around for 4 months before getting closed down. In my opinion, that is a pretty bad sign. Why would it be up for such a short amount of time and then get pulled off? Binance often announces things, before anybody else knows about them, especially when they're like listing things on their exchange. But I think them pulling this off is some sort of bad sign, at least when it comes to the sake of volatility and risk and this as an investment, even just in the short term for this particular cycle. So that's one red flag and worrisome sign. Now, this delisting, what happened here is it caused a short squeeze. And essentially what a short squeeze is, and how ChatGPT helped me describe this very simply. If you're not familiar, shorting is when someone is betting against the price of a particular asset. They think that the price is going to go down. Then a short squeeze happens when the price starts to go up and all the people that are short sellers have to buy in. So essentially, as it says right here, they are borrowing the coin, they sell it at today's price, and then they buy it back for cheaper later. So somebody else has a MemeFi coin. I'm going to borrow that. I sell it for, let's make the math simple, $50, even though that's not what these coins are worth. Then I'm going to wait for the price to go down and I'm going to buy it hopefully at $25. And so then I'm going to give that back to the guy I borrowed it from, and then I'm going to keep the extra $25 on top of it that I sold it for before. So if the price instead goes up, I bought it at 50 and it goes up to 60, and I want to close out of my position, I got to buy it for 60, give it back to the guy, and now I'm out that $10 because someone gave me 50 for it, I paid 60, now I'm out $10. So the short squeeze specifically for MemeFi, they delisted these contracts, meaning no one could trade them, so they had to close out all of their positions. So basically, someone bought it for $50 and then they still owed the person that coin that they borrowed. And Binance says, okay, well, you can't trade anymore, so you got to give that person their coin back. So everybody had to go in and buy coins at whatever price and then give them back to that person. And so all of those people buying and buying and buying coins drove the price up, and then it squeezed out more people that were shorting on all sorts of exchanges, whether it was Binance or not. And so the price was up and up. That price went from, in our fake example, from 50 to 55 and then 60. And then people were like, oh man, that's too much for me. I'm going to sell out. And then 65 and then 70, and more people were getting squeezed out, and more people then had to buy, which then drove the price up more. That squeeze is kind of a vicious cycle of people continuing to have to close out the positions, buy in, and it drives the price up and up and up. Now, ChatGPT is fantastic. We'll get into this with some Twitter posts in a second, but the price spike is not real demand. Now, this basically means that, as you can tell, because the contracts were forcing to be closed, and then the short squeeze caused anybody shorting to further and further buy and buy and buy, the price action is not based on people wanting to buy and people being interested in MemeFi. It's people being forced to buy based on their contracts and based on their positions in the shorts. And so it's this kind of artificial price movement in the upward direction. Now, let's take a look at what people are saying about this to get kind of more of a flavor of what's going on. So lots of people are understanding jump nearly 200%, driven by forced short covering, not fresh demand. This one is perfect. The rally looks mechanical, raising doubts. This one's perfect. The rally looks mechanical, raising doubts on sustainability, caution advised. Now, this was at 2:25 p.m. on August 6th. If we go back to our chart here, August 6th at 2:25 p.m. Now, this was when the market cap was about 39.25 before it went up significantly to 62, but we're now below at 36. So it did pump more, but that person called it. They called the caution. So if you want to follow this person, I recommend it. This is on the CoinMarketCap community page. Now, this is one that would be very intriguing to see in the beginning, because as you can see, their breakout point was based on this pump back in, when it was listed in December of 2024. And then they had a big pump here in in May as well. And so they were just doing the most basic technical analysis here, doing somewhat of a line of resistance, essentially. Not really, but it blew past that, obviously. And so this was what kind of sparked the interest. Now, there were some other interesting factors here. The team dropped a teaser for MemeFi Mini App 2.0. And this person was a little bit earlier, August 6th at 120. So as we mentioned before, we were at the 225 here. The 120 was about there. Same after this first peak. And they were basically saying that can't be the reason for this pump. That's crazy. They just dropped this teaser. Some people had to know this would have had to have been an amazing update, but apparently it was not. A mini app was not the thing that made it outpace the market by such a staggering amount. Now, if we go back to the kind of AI overview of what's going on, the technical factors here, things that we're not going to get into, like RSI levels and MACD convergences and things like that. Just to simplify, they're saying that it has a bearish signal, but when we go to the project fundamentals and what the project actually has going on, they have 52 million users. That is massive, as I said before. But if we go back to the website and kind of look at that number that I was talking about, the 2.5 million on-chain paying users, even with the 7.5 million daily active users, obviously we don't know how true these numbers are, but 7.5 out of 52 is not a very high percentage. And 2.5 million on-chain paying users, or even 15 million wallets as a percentage of the total users, is not a very high percentage. And going back to the project fundamentals on the AI scale, it says that DApp radar shows negligible recent activity. This is one of those projects that is going to be tough for anybody to really assess the long-term capabilities and strength of, because they have some good numbers and then some not so good numbers. And the thing that, really stood out as a good factor to me was their roadmap being very clear on their website. They have timelines, bullet points of all the things that they're planning to achieve and, when they want to achieve it. That's great, but this is all, forward looking. So diving deeper into what they have achieved so far would be helpful. But yeah, looking into those numbers at the moment is where I'm going to keep myself at the moment in the kind of wary zone of this particular project. Now, some more of the fundamentals here. It's, a launch pad for meme-based token projects, staking and farming rewards powered by their token. They have NFT integration, creator-driven token drops or content drops designed for transactions. It's a gaming DeFi platform that's, designed for transactions on the Sui platform as well, or the Sui blockchain as well. So it does a lot of things that we already know exist. The user base is huge. It's, the coin is live. The user base is huge. And even more so worrisome, there are these posts out here that go, why is MemeFi pumping? These are things, in my opinion, that you really got to watch out for when you're looking through community posts to try and gauge what's going on out there. This on its own looks like a pretty decent post. Oh, they skyrocketed. It's a jaw-dropping gain. Why is it pumping? Community hype, check. Whale interest in new listing, check. Strong meme utility narrative, check. Community hype, I don't know. Does it have that? Whale interest in new listing, I don't know. Does it have that? It definitely doesn't have a new listing. It had a delisting. Strong meme and utility narrative. It's a platform. It's not a meme. So they're trying to make it sound good very fast without you really diving into it. There's no backing for this. Putting in some technical analysis here, trying to make them feel a little bit more trustworthy. I don't like that. And all of that is just on this one post. Even though it looks nice, they got some pictures. Well, I'll show you what makes it really not good looking is if we go to this post. Almost identical. Prices soar. Staggering percentage increase. Why is MemeFi pumping? Community hype, whales new listing, strong meme utility narrow. Different person, almost exact same wording, except they pose this as questions. I really don't like to see that. Not that this is like the indicator of the whole thing, but it is concerning. All of this, it's all of the little pieces that are adding together. Now, beyond that, this person had a much better point of view that feels at least somewhat well thought out and intentional. Whether, they have their own ulterior motive, I don't think so. Because yes, they go into some technical things right here, but they immediately go, this is not organic growth, but it's a leverage fueled frenzy because the perpetual contracts are typically leveraged, and that's what they mean, leverage fueled. It's based on the delisting, open interest dumped. It's creating artificial buy pressure, as we discussed before. Honestly, I'd recommend following Jonathan just off of this one post if you're going to follow anybody on the CoinMarketCap community. I may join on here as well and repost things like this that I think are good for you to see. If you want to go on the community and follow me as well, I'll probably create an account that's going to be @out_raging, just like all my accounts everywhere, other than our lovely CryptoGX here. But let's look at this again. So they have a very clear what not to do. Don't buy here blindly. That's obviously why you're here watching this video. Don't ignore RSI above above 90, basically that just means that it's overbought and it's at risk of a correction. It means it's at risk of a pullback. And then lastly, they've got don't fade meme momentum without a stop. Shorting too early gets punished. As you can see from the price right here, there were people that were concerned like, oh, this is a weird pump. I don't know what's going on. They weren't totally sure what happened. If they shorted right here, they would have probably seen it fly up, double, freaked out, hit a stop loss, or just, sold at any point right here and lost either half or their entire position. Yes, it went down to below this, 39 level, but I'm sure people would have gotten shaken out and lost their position. So if you short too early, then you kind of get screwed. And obviously 62 mil was the top here where you would want to short the most with this huge pullback going. And now we're just trying to assess, okay, we're along the lines of this initial movement on the bottom side. Can't put any lines here, but you can see where my cursor is going. There could be long-term value and long-term growth to this project, potentially, but we need to be very wary of what's going on here. Obviously, if you were already in and you're up, take your profits. But if we look at the last post here, this sharp upward movement is concerning. And now we have that pullback to really watch for in the next coming days. This could rebound. It could continue moving up. More shorts could be late on this and continue flowing in. There's still volume that is trading around here. So we're still in kind of a limbo. If it had gone all the way back down to about a 14 million market cap, I would say it's over. But especially I'm along with this guy right here, watching how the market reacts and seeing if it holds, and then also seeing the project's deliverables, the roadmap. Are they going to deliver, as it says here, actual utility? Are they going to deliver on the promises of the roadmap? It's got a huge following. It's got, I would say, plenty of active users for long-term growth, maybe not for, an instant definite, yes, this is going somewhere, but I don't know about this small position for now. I'm cautious and waiting to see what happens because yes, volatility is absolutely real. And as we see right here, this can completely fade. And if we look at the all-time trading market cap, this is a tiny, tiny little blip. I mean, this went up and then way back, and we're not even at a pullback on the grand scale here. So you can see that, and then it goes up again on this particular pump. So I would continue watching over the next few days, over the next week, see what happens. If there is sideways movement, continue watching for maybe a month or so and, see what announcements they come out with, see how much value this project has when it comes to long-term and things like that. Now, I don't think MemeFi is available on a ton of exchanges. I know it's available on OKX, but I've got some links to Coinbase and crypto.com where you can get at least $50 worth of crypto if you sign up with that. If you want to see if that, MemeFi's on there or just buy any other crypto tokens. And as well, if you clicked on this video, you might be interested in meme coins. I left a link to MoonShot as well where you can claim some free meme coins just by signing up with that. Let me know in the comments what you think of MemeFi. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure to like and subscribe to stay tuned for all things crypto, and I'll catch you in the next one.